feeling a little silly. My thumbnail. I'm not making fun of my nose or my ears. See, big nose, little tiny ears. I'm not really making fun of it, but I do have something I want to talk about in regards to, at least on my body, what some people would consider, a lot of people would consider, a big nose, and what a lot of people consider little ears. And I want to tell you a couple things, maybe a couple stories that are talking about what I've learned about my nose and my ears. Okay, you could say probably the two features of my body that probably took me years to actually accept as a beautiful part of me that I absolutely love now. It wasn't always that way, because I will tell you what happened. Probably sometime in elementary school, sometime probably around, I'm gonna say maybe 5th grade. I don't know, 4th, 5th grade. Not exactly sure when this happened, but I never had any kind of self-conscious feeling about my nose until that time. It just was never a thing. Like, it was not even part of my awareness that, oh, my nose is different than a lot of other kids. And yeah, what happened is one day somebody pointed out to me that I have a big nose. And you know what? I don't know if that kid was trying, I can't remember if they were just stating what was obvious to them or if they were trying to hurt me. I honestly don't remember. I think it's very possible that it was just an observation. A lot of children do that, even those, that you would think would know better, to just not point out things about other people that they might take offense to, or it might be a sensitive subject, which for me it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't even in my awareness yet. But anyway, whatever the intent was, or maybe the unconscious pointing out, the unconscious observation, like this person pointed out to me that, hey, you have a big nose. And that was like the first time I think I ever became aware of my nose, like in the way that I'm saying, where it became something that I was self-conscious of after that point. And it had a big, huge effect on my self-confidence and feeling good about myself and loving my body. Because before that, I didn't have any problem with it, right? And yeah, and honestly, I can't remember when when the ear thing was, when that came into play, as far as being self-conscious about how tiny my ears are. They have really small ears. It's almost like, they're almost like baby-sized ears. But you know what? I love them, and I'll tell you why I love them later on, after I talk about my nose for a while. One feature I will tell you that I have always loved about myself is my hair. I love my hair, and I would love it to be thicker than it is now. It's changed a lot over the years. I love the gray. I just love the gray. I think it's beautiful. I love the coloring and how it's changed over the years. The one thing I would really like for it to change is like to stop falling out. And then also to be able to regrow what I've lost, because I have half of what I used to have. I used to have a huge thick head of hair, and yeah, and I love that. And I always felt like my hair was like a shield, a protection for me, almost like that Samson Delilah story. You know, Samson's hair was like his strength, his power. I have always kind of associated my hair that way. It's been my shield, my power, my strength, and I've had it short before, and I've, you know, had it really, really long before, and yeah, but especially when it's longer, it feels more like me. I feel more like me when my hair is longer. And no matter what it actually looks like, you know, doesn't matter. It's how I feel that matters. And that's what I wanted to talk about too, is like how you feel. That's really what matters. It's not, does your beauty standard does your beauty meet the beauty standard that somebody outside of you places on you? What if I told you that it doesn't matter? I think some people have already learned that it doesn't matter, but there's still a lot of people out there that maybe don't know that, haven't learned that lesson. Anyway, back to my nose. So that was when it first started, when I started becoming self-conscious of my body and started to start picking out the things in my body, and started comparing my body parts, things, with other people's and with beauty standards or whatever, you know, starting to understand that some people actually had opinions about how I look, and that was like that started to affect me. And before that, I don't know that I really had that awareness that there were these beauty standards or things that were acceptable and things that were maybe not considered acceptable, or make you feel less than because you have something that's different, you know, different features that are not what most people would consider beautiful, acceptable, or whatever, you know, like, I don't know, things that get pointed out that make you feel like you're like there's something wrong with you, like there's like, when there really isn't anything wrong with you. You know, you're just different. Everybody looks different. Everybody is different. Personalities are different too, you know, like we're not all the same. So there is no standard. There's no standard. You know, we are what we are. But it took me a really, really long time to learn that. I had a really long battle with accepting this beautiful thing on me that gives me so much more than self-confidence, you know, like it. I'm gonna tell you, okay, what I used to do after that point, after I was made aware by somebody, at least that one person, and then after that, there were other occasions, you know, throughout my life where somebody's pointed, got interrupted. Anyway, several different times in my life where somebody has pointed out this or pointed out this, you know, and or maybe even other things. And so I became self-conscious of the things that they would point out, because now I'm looking through their lens, and before I was only looking through my lens and seeing, you know, accepting everything the way it was. But then when I became aware of certain things and I looked through someone else's lens at myself, and there, you know, not knowing that at the time, not knowing that their lens had a distorted view, like, of me, that maybe their lens was cloudy and distorted compared to my own lens that I had been looking through, and feeling good about myself until they unintentionally, maybe, or possibly intentionally, because some of these were adults later on too, and it's like they should know better. But like I say should, but it's like, you know, we all say things. We all put our feet in our mouths, and we say things that we're saying out of, a lot of times we're just unconscious at the time. We're not thinking about how what we say affects others. And so, you know, I can forgive that. And yeah, but it did have an effect. It did have an effect on me, on how I viewed myself, and on my confidence and my self-worth, and then that, of course, affects other things. Okay, but I want to also tell you, like, you know, I told you I love my hair, right? So because of this new awareness, you know, and not only because of it, because I just don't think it was only because of this, but I was already, in some ways, I may have had some insecurities already, or overstimulation. I don't really know which, probably a combination of both. But there were times, most of my growing up, if I was at home, and I felt overwhelmed, or just like I needed a place to retreat, I would go into my closet and close that door and just stay in there and give myself sort of a breather, a timeout, or, you know, a place to collect myself, to regulate myself, and so that I could come back into my outer world, right? And sometimes that took a long time, and but there were times, especially like when I go to school, when you're going to school, where you may not have a place to retreat, and I didn't. There was nowhere to go. I didn't have a closet that I could go into and take a little break, and when I felt like I needed to just tune everything out, I didn't have that. And so sometimes what I did when I was younger, of course I didn't do it later when I got older, because then I would look like an idiot, which I probably already looked like an idiot, or older people probably would have thought that. But in elementary school, I remember several times that I would take my hair, and it was long, even longer than this, and I would close the curtains. I looked like Cousin It, close the curtains. And basically it's like the ostrich burying its head in the sand. Hey, nobody can see me if I can't see them, right? Which we know that's not true. I knew that wasn't true, but for whatever reason, I felt that this sense of security that I needed, I had to physically shut things out, so that I could regather my resources, my energy, whatever it was that I was trying to accomplish, like to regulate myself. That was what I did sometimes. And I know it looked ridiculous, I'm sure. But when you're desperate for some sort of refuge, you do what you can. And that was all I could do to survive in environments where I really didn't have any control, and where I felt compromised in some way, or anyway. So maybe that's why my hair has always felt like a protection to me. Part of that reason, I think, is because it's offered me a place of refuge more than one time. Anyway. Okay. So I spent most of my life after that initial person pointing out something that was not really in my awareness yet. I spent most of my life into adulthood feeling really not accepting, feeling that internal tug of war with really not liking my nose. And I even had ideas of maybe I could change it at some point, right? Yeah. But when I got married and started having kids, those things were just kind of, I wasn't thinking about them as much anymore, because for one, I married somebody who was very accepting and loving, and loved everything about me, even that, still found me beautiful in every way. And so, yeah. I know he's also had some, I'm not going to talk about his stuff, but I know he's had some comments, and probably we all have had comments where people unintentionally, most of the time I think, point things out that then you have, you have those insecurities after that. And I know he did, because he told me about some of them. So like, I already found, that he understood me. He understood where I was coming from. But anyway, I got busy with life, and raising children, and just busy with life, and those insecurities were still under the surface, I think, but they were just not my focus, because I was too busy with living life, but I want to tell you a story that happened that makes me so thankful for this nose. And I don't know if because I have this nose, it allows me to be more sensitive to smells, picking up on smells. But I'm gonna just tell you, like, there was one time we were staying in our house that we had moved out of. We had moved to where we are now, and we were staying in that house. It hadn't sold yet. We were staying there for like a week or so, and in the middle of the night, like way early in the middle of the night, like 2, 3, 4 in the morning, I woke up and I smelled something. It's a very faint smell of smoke. And I was like, something is burning. Like, where is that coming from? And so I had to find out, because, I got to know, is our house on fire? Is there something we need to attend to? Do we need to get out of the house, or whatever? And so I went and investigated, and my, like a dog with their nose, going and just following the scent, okay, following that smell. It led me outside the front door, and I was like, oh my gosh, something is burning. I don't know where it's coming from. So I went across the street, and I was just looking around at all the houses, trying to figure out, where is it coming from? It smells so strong. And I went across the street, and then I could see that 2 houses down from us, a house was on fire. This fire, we found out later, it started in the basement. And we also found out that this family was away. Thankfully, they were not there. Oh, another thing is our neighbor next door to that house, he was up at that time, and he was baking bread, which he often did early. He did not smell, or he did not know that the house next door to him was on fire. And then also, all the other neighbors didn't pick up on it either. And I'm not like, hey, yay, I did it. I'm not doing that. Okay, what I'm doing is, I'm just saying that either everyone was asleep still, or they just didn't have as sensitive of a nose as I do. And so I was the first one out there to figure it out, and I called called the emergency, called the fire department, but I was so happy that it didn't spread, the fire didn't spread. But yeah, that was the first I would say probably I think it's the first time I really understood that my nose was really a blessing. And I started to appreciate the wonderful thing that it is, that it allowed me to pick up on, very, very sensitive smells. Like I said, those smells were very faint at first, which is why probably nobody picked up on it, and the fact that they were asleep. But that's what woke me up. Okay, I could smell something. It woke me up. So, anyway, and after that, there have been many other times when I have smelled, I could smell gas leaks. And I've been right. I have smelled them. No one else smells them, and I smell them. And then, we call and and the problem gets taken care of. So I'm just saying, I love this nose. And, yeah, I found out that it was actually a blessing to have this nose. Okay, now on to my ears. My ears are tiny, very tiny, right? Okay. But did you know that I have the perfect size ear? Okay, I had 6 children, 5 of which had asthma. And although I had a stethoscope at some point where I could listen to their lungs, I was not able to hear using the stethoscope. I could not pick up on the little crackles, the wheezes, and all the things that I needed to hear in order to know that there were, that a child was in distress. Like, you can visually see some signs of that, but this is before things got into what you would call the danger zone, where you need like full-blown medical help. Okay, I learned by listening, putting my very tiny ear, this one or this one, I think it was this one, because I think I hear better out of the left ear. I learned to use my ear next to on their back, or sometimes in the front, but mostly listening in the back, and listening for all the tiny little sounds when they are breathing in and out. And I can't tell you how many times I have been able to hear wheezes and crackles and things that doctors have not been able to pick up on with their stethoscope. They weren't able to hear. I've been able to hear, and I have, this small ear, and I really believe that this ear is this way. These ears are small because by divine invention, or divine intervention, whatever, divine design, my ears are this way because they needed to be, so that I could save my children. And I have done that many times. So, do I think my small ears are a blessing? Yes, I do. I feel that they are a blessing in the same way that my nose, my big nose, is a blessing to me. And my beautiful hair and all the things that make up me, all of the things that make me, all the physical things, all the energy that is mine, my personality, my gifts, all of my everything, that if you collect everything on all the different planes of energy, I don't know how to say this, but like if you collect everything and it's like this is the Dessa universe, everything that is part of me, yeah, it's part of me for a reason. And I am me because I'm the only one who can be me. No one else can be me. And you are the same way. There's things about you that are different than anyone else in the whole existence. There's things that make you so unique and give you abilities that maybe others don't have. And those things are blessings to not only yourself, but they are blessings to everyone else around you. Because, like, for example, how I used those gifts that I didn't even know were gifts, how I was able to use them, it blessed the lives of other people and literally saved lives. So, my challenge to you and to all of us is to clean the lenses that you're looking through. And if you're looking through other people's lenses, looking at yourself through other people's lenses, make sure that those lenses are not clouded or distorted. Always check back in with the lens that is the truth. Okay, always check back in with that, because we each know, we really do know within ourselves. If we go within, we know what is true and what is not true. We know within ourselves. We can get those answers, and there's just an inner knowing, and we all need to learn to trust that, and to be careful about what you allow to influence and to shape you, and to shape your perception of yourself. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else that I need to say, but I'm glad that I had those experiences. I'm glad that, so in some ways I am glad that I tried on other people's glasses and lenses, and I saw, because then it took me on a journey of discovery, and then later on those corrections were made, and I was able to come back to that wholeness, that wholeness that I started out with. And so it healed me to at some point I was healed. But I don't know, do I need to have those experiences of insecurity, or is there a way that we can start out as little babies that are, I think they have a pretty good perspective of themselves from the start, young children. I think it's a more pure self view, and then we place our learned perceptions on them as they grow. And I'm just wondering if there's a way for them to experience that wholeness throughout their life and not actually have the distorted perceptions. I think there might be. I think that as we heal each of us, as we heal that inner child and those distortions and those things that we have taken on and taken ownership of, and allowed to become identified with, as we heal those things, I think that we might be able to be more careful, more sensitive to others, and and I don't know, maybe society will overall, there will be a healing of humanity where we just don't make judgments on each other, and we don't point out things that could be taken as not being accepted. So I think what it really comes down to is, and I keep coming back to this, like, that we just have to learn how to love and accept ourselves exactly as we are, and then extend that outward and love and accept others exactly as they are. And I really feel like the starting point is you have to start with yourself, and then and you may not be perfect at it, which I know I'm not, but then you start to extend that outward, and I feel like that's the way. That's the way, love yourself, accept yourself exactly as you are, because you are, and there's nothing wrong with you the way you are. The way you were, what I mean is, like, the way you were born, right? There may be things that you have picked up along the way that you need to self-correct, right? Like, so, but that does, at your very core, that those things that we gather and we pick up along our journeys, those don't define us. That does not, that does not mean that you are unworthy of love, and you're still a divine being, no matter what you do or say, or the distortions that are within you that have infiltrated your identity. You are still that divine energy of source energy. And your value never changes. You are still that. And there just may be some self-correcting that would help you to reflect in a more clear way who you really are on a divine, at that divine level. So anyway, I think that's it. I think I'm done talking. And if anyone hasn't told you today, I love you. I'm glad you're in the world. And you're beautiful just the way you are. And you're worthy of love. Nobody even needs to be worthy. We just are. There's nothing to prove. You just are. And so we are love. And I think that's part of what we've forgotten, is that we are. Okay.